Good morning. Okay, we can do better than that. I know there's plans. We are celebrating, and I don't know about you, we are celebrating an incredible day, an incredible graduation ceremony, which I also recognize is the first for many folks who are sitting here. And I can see some of the tears and vulnerability from our graduates. So when I say good morning, everyone, good morning. To be here, and thank you, Lydia, for just not only your leadership and your work. She shows up everywhere. I think just this week we saw each other at 3 different events. And she's like, I'll see you on Friday. I'll see you on Friday. So she is out there advocating for this organization, pushing folks to invest in the work that is done here, and really lifting up the results and the impact everywhere. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the kind introduction. We can't do it by ourselves. I also, of course, want to extend my deep gratitude to your staff, to the volunteers, to the partners who are here and some who couldn't be here, your board of directors, just everyone who's in this space supporting this organization, for your leadership, for your incredible work to end homelessness, frankly, in Boston and beyond. Today is, I think, a very beautiful culmination of the work that each and every one of you do every single day. So thank you, and thank you to your staff for pulling together such a beautiful event. And I too want to congratulate and acknowledge Representative John Moran, who is here, who just got sworn in. I'm at the state level, but we work in partnership, obviously, with the local leaders, local elected officials. So looking forward to doing the work with you. Congratulations. And get to know your local elected officials. It's critically important as they advocate for policy changes to expand programs like this, to invest in communities that have been left out for far too long, and to make sure that the resources that come out of the State House are equitably distributed in your district. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your work. And of course, to the graduates who I was just hanging out with, y'all look fabulous. But to the graduates, congratulations. And while I am deeply humbled to share this day with all of you, I want to be crystal clear that this day is not about me. It is about the graduates. It's about the work and the perseverance and the resilience and all they pour in of themselves to be able to sit here and to celebrate this special day. And I'm really honored to be here with each and every one of you. And before I got on this stage, I had the opportunity to read some of your stories, and I read a few of them last night. Very inspirational. Of course, I had an opportunity to engage with many of you just now, to listen to some of your stories, your struggles, your pain, your trauma. And for some of you, of course, heading into this day is your first graduation and first time you've probably ever been celebrated. And I want to remind you that all the moments, every little thing that happened to you prior to today, the pain, the trauma, the suffering, maybe at moments of despair, all of that has brought you here today. All of it is a part of your story. There should be no shame in telling it and sharing it, because it informs your success today. And while that past suffering may inform your future purpose, it will absolutely not dictate your future. Your past is part of your story with just a part. Now it's time to turn that pain into purpose. I think your present and your future are wide open, ready, frankly, to receive you with open arms if you so choose. And that it's up to you, with the support of all of us, who each need to do our part, of course, for you to use your skills you've learned here and every other piece of your story and other skills you learned before you got here towards that future and whatever you envision it to be for yourself. I truly believe, and I say this all the time, especially to young people, that we're here to serve a unique purpose. So there's no use in trying to be like the person to your left or to your right. Each of us have unique gifts. It's our job to find out what are those unique gifts that we have. And they're unique to us, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And what is our role in terms of finding those gifts and translating it into a purpose that I think is designed to help others and most importantly, to help our community and our families. And I share all this because there's a piece of me and pieces of my story that reflects, I think, many of the struggles of folks in this space. As some folks in the audience and some who know me well know, my life was filled with incredible instability. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. I live in Mattapan now, but I grew up in this neighborhood in Roxbury in the South End, right down the street. And when I was 8 months old, my mom actually died in a car accident going to visit my father, who was incarcerated at the time. And my father was incarcerated for the first 8 years of my life. So my brothers and I bounced around. We sometimes lived with relatives, sometimes we're in the foster care system, depending on what was happening at that time. And my father would get out of prison when I was 8 years old. But sadly, when I was 19, a sophomore in college, I would talk to him one morning, he would die the same evening. All of my biological parents are deceased. All of my biological grandparents are deceased. But the pain and the suffering wouldn't stop there. Fast forward, my brothers who have cycled in and out of the prison system, my twin brother would die while in the custody of the Department of Correction, which, as some of you know, oversee our prisons here in Massachusetts, when he was 29 years old, as a result of receiving inadequate health care. I always credit my school and good education I had. I went to 5 Boston public schools in Boston, obviously. Nonprofit organizations, frankly, like this organization and Rosie's Place and other organizations in this community. Mentors, my faith, many folks. There was a community that wrapped around me to ensure that I could, frankly, make it. That would help me navigate such significant trauma and to deal with the effect that would have on my mental health so that I, too, could turn that pain into purpose. Because of all these people who were in my life, maybe just for a moment or a second or a season, I was blessed to become the first in my family to go to college and to go to law school. Went to Princeton undergrad and I went to UCLA in California for law school. Then I brought my happy self back from sunny California, right back to Roxbury, where I started my career representing children in education cases, pushing for our children to have access to the same incredible educational opportunities I had in the city of Boston. And I recognize, as a mother of 2 boys, we still have work to do when it comes to our educational system. So I know my story, my struggles, my successes, every little piece of it has allowed me to show up in this role as the 45th Attorney General, the first Black woman to serve in this role, in a very unique way. In a way that is unique from many of my predecessors, maybe from anyone who's ever served as AG in this country, because I know I've lived some of the problems we are attempting to solve and, frankly, to eradicate. And I believe in surrounding myself with people who bring their own stories to the table, who bring their lived experiences to the table, so that we can do the work better. And when we're talking about what the solutions are to these very challenges, that we do it with a greater sense of urgency, equity, and an impact. So when I say don't have any shame sharing your stories, don't have any shame sharing your stories, because it might just turn you into being the first if you lean into it, if you own it, and most importantly, if you share it to inspire others who may feel hopelessness or despair. So thank you all, and again, I can't stress enough how proud I am to be here with each and every one of you. But I also want to say, I'm not just here to hang out. or to share my story and talk about the importance of our stories, but also dealing with our trauma and healing and mental health, all of that. We obviously have work to do, and we want to do it in partnership with this incredible organization. The AG's office is significant. Most folks know us as just an office that prosecutes crimes, and we have a role to play in that and keeping our communities safe, but we also do so much more than that. And we want to make sure we're doing it in partnership with everyone in this space. First and foremost, we want folks to know that the office covers the whole state, not just Boston. We have an office in Worcester, in New Bedford, in Springfield, some other communities that sometimes feel left down, left behind because we tend to be so Boston-centric. And I recognize that there's still work to do on regional equity. In addition to having a large reach in terms of our office across the Commonwealth, we are doing a lot to keep our communities safe and healthy. That first starts with addressing, crime, violence. I'm aware that in certain communities, this is an issue. And what are we doing to protect our folks? One, getting guns off the street. There are a lot of guns in our communities. You can clap on that. A lot of guns in our communities. There's a role for our office to play, but I also think there's a role for those with lived experiences. At one time, they had been on the opposite side, to also inform how we do that in community and how we allow folks who maybe have made a mistake in their past to inform that work as well. We also want to keep our communities safe from the opioid crisis and drug abuse and substance use disorder. The office for some time has been taking on companies that have actually profited from this opioid crisis. Just recently, we got a decision from a court that will allow us to move forward and hopefully quicker, that will bring over $100 million to Massachusetts to help us take those resources and put them back into communities in terms of recovery, treatment, education, you name it. And to make sure we're doing that with community-based organizations who are having the greatest impact on breaking these cycles of substance use disorder and abuse. We need you and someone who's already part of that work. There's a significant role to play. In addition to health and safety, the traditional ways you may think about the office, what else are we doing? We're protecting workers. And as all of you go out into your employment opportunities, you're going to want to know us. And why is that? Wage theft is still a big issue in Massachusetts. What is wage theft? This is folks who actually go to work hard, but don't get paid the wages they're entitled to. We have a whole division, our Fair Labor Division, that is taking that on every single day to make sure when you go to work, you are paid your benefits, you are paid your wages on time, and of course, fully. That is a major issue. So we are a resource to so many folks in the community when it comes to that, including offering training in that regard. But in addition to respecting our workers, one thing that is really important to me, and I've been stressing this to the team, we are often in government reactive to the work. We wait for you to call us, we wait for a complaint before we get to the work. I want us to think about how we can be more proactive. We can work with organizations like this to help build more housing. Critical issue. Affordability is the #1 issue that folks are talking about in Massachusetts. It is the expense of the daycare, it's the expense of going to groceries, your prescription drugs, you name it, everything, child care. There is a role for our office to play in leveraging the tools that we have to create more economic opportunities for families. Yes, we can take on discrimination and barriers to access to capital and other things that you may not have access to. We're taking on cases in the housing context where folks are discriminating against folks because they have a voucher. They have Section 8. All of that, that's reactive work. What tools do we have in our toolkit to help you access more financial tools to buy a home? What tools do we have in our toolkit to create more on-ramps for home ownership opportunities? What tools do we have in our toolkit to help many of you who should be small business owners actually be able to succeed in that regard? There's a lot of tools that we have, including our grant-making tools, the resources we have, the settlements I mentioned. We have significant flexibility on how to use that. We have a platform, we have the credibility, and we have the convening power to bring together many folks in this room to create economic opportunity. We don't want to just put money back into your pockets. We want communities that have been left out and left behind, the Black community, brown, you name it, poor communities, to have access to critical tools to grow your wealth for your family, but most importantly, for generations to come. And so really proud that I hired someone specifically, which has never happened in the history of the office, a senior advisor for economic mobility and opportunity, to develop an actual plan of how we will do that. More to come, but we want you also to pay attention to those opportunities. We will work in partnership with this organization to make sure it happens. I could go on and on about the breadth and scope of this office. I think what we're talking about in this country, the divisiveness we're seeing in Washington, the inability to get anything done, I recognize that people are running away from politics. But I have to say, states are where it's at. You gotta pay attention. Politics is significant. Whether it's voting and making sure you're voting for folks who actually will have your back, it's significant. If you want more resources to come into your community or to support programs like this that have meaning but also an impact, it involves politics. If you want your children to have access to an excellent education like I want my kids to have access to living in Mattapan, it's politics. If you want your families to have access to the financial tools they need to be successful, it's politics. Politics literally touches every facet of your life. So get engaged with us. See us as a partner in the work. I want to be a partner with each and every one of you. I'm intentional about where I show up. Being here probably means just as much to me as it means to you graduating today, because I see myself in many of you. And there's more to come. And I'm excited for what lies ahead for each and every one of you. Thank you for the work you do, the work you have done to succeed today, and thank you for what you will do going forward. Congratulations again to this incredible class. Keep taking care of yourself, and when it gets hard, remind yourself why you do this. We all need you. Thank you so very much.